Prepare for life supply.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Warframe video. Today, I wanted to showcase, I guess, a build for a weapon that you don't see that much. Now, this is a bow. Now, the only two bows that are even relevant as far as I'm concerned at the moment are the Paris Prime and the Dread. Because those bows have incarnate adapters. Now, not better one of the only two bows anybody ever speaks of. But there are some good bows that don't. There is one good bow, in my opinion, that doesn't have a incarnate form, and it still does pretty well. I hope I showcased the gameplay a moment ago that showcased some of the power that this bow can have. It was low level Steel Path Relic opening, but this bow should not be slept on. I think this bow actually needs some some much needed attention and love, and I think that it's something you all should be using. So let's go over what it is. It is the Cinta. Now, this build or this bow is not exactly new player friendly. This in terms of actually acquiring the weapon, unless you decide to spend, I think it's 150 platinum, maybe more, to buy the weapon outright from the weapon menu. You can buy it outright from in this weapon menu, but like I said, I think it's actually like 200, or it's a lot of platinum. It's almost like $10-15 worth of platinum, I'm pretty sure. Or you can grind out the bow, which grinding for the bow is not exactly new player friendly from the location that it comes from. You need to be pretty far and invested into the storyline into the story of Warframe, and you have to basically complete the what is it? Echoes of Duviri, I think it's called. It's one of the quest lines. Echoes of Duviri, I think it was, or something along those regards. Or just Duviri, I'm not sure. Anyway, acquiring this bow is not new player friendly, so you have to, unless you buy it outright. Now, the only bow you can actually compare this to is the, wherever it is down here, is the Nadaruk. Now, the Nadaruk is same thing. You have to be far within the story to get it, but it's a lot sooner, and you don't have to grind for it. You just, after you complete the quest line, the new war, you just outright get this bow with the catalyst. So you don't got to put any resources into it besides what you want to put formers into it. You just outright get the weapon. Now, the reason why this is the only bow that could be, this and the Cinta are in a certain category because they have a special shot. So if you look within the reticle, or the charging reticle right there, there is a little window. And that little window is a perfect shot. So basically, if you release the arrow within that little window, you get a special shot, or perfect shot. Which the Nadaruk, let me summon 20 Elite Lancers, I know I need to unlock some more shit to target on. But, for the Nadaruk, it is just a high damaging shot. As far as I'm concerned. Cat, you need Elite before you screw this up. So, for this, it's just a high damage shot. If you get a headshot, I think it does have some, actually it has no punch through. You're only hitting that one enemy. Now it does proc slash damage and puncture, which are not bad statuses, or you could just do a full charge shot, but it does not have any punch through. Now, single target damage, I'm pretty sure this weapon is good if you get it all built up. Personally, I just never liked it. Now, when you look at it from the stats over the Cinta, wherever I put it, is actually the Cinta is pretty good as well. Like in terms of a perfect shot, yes, its stats are pretty poor. Because the Nautilus is good for a lot of just outright single target damage on the perfect shot. However, you go to an empty slot. The Nautilus has a different charge shot, where it actually releases this wave of energy that has, I want to say infinite body punch through, but I could also be wrong. But as you can see, I'm shooting through a whole line of these enemies. As you can see, this thing procs heat or fire damage by base. So the way we're going to be modding this weapon is actually just to focus on the heat damage. We're not going to put any other elements such as viral or corrosive on the weapon for the build I'm going to show. However, if you want to put viral on the weapon, just use something like Grendel's Nourish or some other form of it. For this build, we're not going to put any viral on the weapon itself. We're simply just going to focus on the heat damage and slash. Because the build we are using for the Cinta is this build right here. Now, Serration for your base damage. Now, Bane mods are not exactly... Wait, put the green arrow on. People don't like Bane mods as far as I'm concerned. Now, I understand it because, like, you don't want to put it on here. But let's just be real. Okay? Because Hunter Munitions, if you actually put on just point strike, I don't recommend putting on critical delay because it's only 50%. Now, I'm going to take this out because I don't have enough of the room for it. But if you were to put critical delay on, get this off first. If you were to put critical delay on, yes, it would go from 79 to 89. But it's not worth it to decrease the fire rate, in my opinion. Because the way how I have been using the bow is I actually, with the charge shot, I know the release time by muscle memory. And that's what I personally recommend. Learn its special charge shot by memory, or by muscle memory. So you don't even have to look at that bar. You just know when to release it. And you're more focused on the enemy instead of worrying about this little window you got to release it at. Now, if you feel like you could do it with a fire rate mod, go ahead and put a fire rate mod on. If I were someone like that, if I were someone who wanted fire rate, I would personally probably go for Vigilante Fever. I just prefer the second buff of being able to enhance your crits. Now, like I said, we're doing Bane. I got off topic. We're using Bane mods because we want the slash and the heat damage to actually do a bunch of damage. Because if you guys don't know, Bane mods, they have a double. And that's why Rhino's Roar is. Yeah, let me find Rhino here. That's why Rhino's Roar is one of the top abilities in the game, because it has the ability to double dip into status damage and do a lot of status damage. Or the status proc itself will do a bunch of damage, so your heat proc will actually deal more damage. Same thing with the slash proc, and that's why we're using a Bane mod, because they have more double dipping stuff. This game had a bunch of numbers. Now, Riven mods, you can replace this. This weapon only has a tier 3 Riven disposition, which is, it's usable. Anything below a 3, as far as I'm concerned, is just bleh. Don't use a Riven mod if it is below a 3. If this thing was tier 5, this would probably be 200 or something crit chance. It'd be like basically a shit ton of crit chance. A lot more than what's on it right now. But it's at a tier 3. So meaning they are usable. And for the build we're using, there's not much we can use a spare slot for, so Riven mod fits perfectly into it. However, you could fit this mod for something like or something like. Don't use Prime Firestorm. I tried it before. It does not increase the radius of the fireball for its perfect shot. Don't recommend it. Don't use Thunderbolt either. Not worth it. It knocks you to the ground, and it does not seem to proc on the perfect shot, or at least maybe my luck is ass. I don't recommend putting on another element on this thing. However, what you can do is put on thermal rounds, because this will allow you to, just in case you want to use the weapon differently and go for where you're only using a fully powered shot instead of the perfect shot, you're still getting a heat proc. However, for the build that I love and I'm using, I am going to be using my Riven. But if you don't have a Riven for the weapon, recommend just putting on some like thermite rounds to get also the 60% status chance as well. For your primary arcane for the weapon, I recommend something like primary merciless because it's easier to proc. Longbow sharp shot. This weapon is not bad for this, and as a matter of fact, one of the arcanes you should be using for this build, find it, is Arcane Rage with on headshot plus more damage for your primary weapon. Don't recommend Arcane Rise because when you're knocking the bow, when you're knocking it or reloading the bow, it doesn't seem to trigger this. I've tried it multiple times. It does not trigger. So Arcane Rage is the best choice here. Some like this is not bad, but it's for the next shot. And if you miss the headshot, it's easy to mess up the flow with this because if you miss the headshot, you mess up your flow. So I don't recommend it. Not when these give you, I think, what is it? You can also primary Deadhead, which is good if you're going for headshot. Because of more headshot multiplier, which is actually the one I want to be using. I don't want, but Merciless gives you more ease of use, so we're going to be using Merciless. Now, Galvanized Aptitude is not truly necessary as far as I'm concerned. Okay, it probably is really good because I'm pretty sure this is like a 60-something% for direct damage per status effect upon a hit. So, get this maxed out. And plus, if you have two statuses, like I said, the heat and the slash, that's like 90. I just put Galvanized Aptitude because I had no more spot here, and it was not a bad choice. Now, we're just going to be using Ash Prime, which doesn't have much to do with the Cinta, and we are going to be using Arcane Rage because this is more like a realistic thing I'd be using with the bow. No cat giving me a bunch of crit chance nonsense. Just the bow doing the bow things. Let me find my Grenier. I want to absolutely torture. I do need to do more for this, but however, you do have to stack it up because of the galvanized mods. Let me stack this up. As you see, once this bow is really stacked up, its damage, especially as you can see, the arrow itself is not really crazy, but the procs are what's doing a bunch of damage as well. That's the build I've been using this thing in some like Steel Path. I let the procs do all the work, not the bow itself. However, the bow does chunk the damage. One time earlier, matter of fact, I don't normally use this bow with Ash. I use this bow with Mirage due to Hall of Mirrors and Eclipse. Now this is a whole other setup, but it's the same principle. You proc these abilities, put that down for more energy, I guess. As you can see, once you actually get this bow all stacked up, this bow does need some stacking up, so as you can see, once it's stacked up with Mirage, this bow is absolutely amazing. Now, I was doing some Steel Path earlier, and I saw one of my slash procs did 700 and I think it was 707,000 damage just for the slash proc itself, not for the weapon, for the slash proc. So, this bow, which I especially use it with Mirage. Someone like Ash is also good. I forgot to mention His passive does more stuff to the bleed damage or the slash proc, so that's probably not a good example. But let's just put Mirage on some more enemies and show you what the bow can do on its own. No buffs besides the one art action. We take the arcane off and just show what the bow can do itself. Because even without all of these buffs, I've used it on Mesa before, which my build is not meant for bows. This bow still does not that at all. But like I said, we are relying on the bow. We are relying on the procs to get us kills to stack up our buffs. And once that's all stacked up, as you can see, it does great. Once everything is all stacked up. I hope the gameplay earlier showcased a little bit of what this true bow has to offer. Like I said, this bow requires no incarnate form to get this crazy special shot. It's just by base. So, yeah, that is the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said, this bow is not new. In terms of acquiring the bow, if you want to grind for it, is not new player friendly. But if you just buy it with platinum, yeah, sure, do all the stuff I did with it if you have all the resources for it. And like I said before, if you do not have a ribbon, it is not the biggest deal in the world. This is a great ribbon I have, but due to the ribbon disposition, you can put other stuff on the bow, like fire rate. But I personally do not like fire rate because, like I said, I want to be able to fire that perfect shot by muscle memory. So I'm more focused on my enemies rather than trying to focus on the perfect shot and missing my shot. Albeit that ball is very big, so you're not. It's hard to miss. Where the beret shine, probably showed it earlier, where if you're in a corridor, it's really good. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like, I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this one. For the gameplay, my opinions, tips, are hopefully helpful, and it's general gameplay. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, I really appreciate it. Love you all. Stay warm, Chelsea. And yeah, love you all. Bye bye.